not that I'd ever consider quitting or anything, no way. But there has been times where, like for example, there was a point last year where I signed up a ton of clients and I actually bit off. I ran a seminar, went really well, got clients off that, and I was like, holy shit, I think I bit off more than I can chew in terms of my own capacity. There was a lot of, I think for about 3 weeks, I was sleeping maybe 2-3 hours a night. I was filming maybe 10 videos a day, just putting it on our portal, trying to do sessions with people. And I pulled through it, but you really, to be honest, what's got me through those and what I really try encouraging people is if you have a foundation of trust and faith and action, and you just completely come back to a state of trust. Well, whatever trust means to you, trust may be I'm building the character now that I need for later, right? Trust may be, trust for some people is, you know what, fuck it. Whatever happens, happens, and it is what it is. And if you can just come back to some way, and it's different for everyone, where it's something you tell yourself or some state of mind that suits your emotional home, where stress and fear and anxiety just give you a break for a moment. And you keep taking action. And like you said, it's actually a really beautiful thing because for us, as we go through those challenges, the first thing we're thinking is, how could I teach this? How could I help someone else with this? And I think it's really grounding, humbling sort of experience.
Yeah, it makes it, at least you have a goal. Like if I'm going to learn about this or if I'm going to start this book, at least I have a goal of at the end I'll make a piece of content. And that is something that I'm transitioning more and more to is like instead of, because I would a little bit of a mistake, I think, just regurgitating, making like a book summary. So like basically taking a book and distilling it into like, I don't know, a blog post. And I want to start doing more of actually living and going through the lessons in like a month, just focusing on that book and the lessons and then showcasing the results. And I guess that will force me even more to stop bullshitting and just focusing on applying the concepts that are in the books. Yeah,
absolutely. And when you do that in your own authentic voice, which is, I think it's not a mistake you made because you've probably found that it emphasizes that need to express that authentic self. Because I know when I've watched your videos, the one I connect best with are the ones when you are in this sort of setting, when you're in this sort of nature and you're just yourself. And I think you'll find your audience is the exact same because I really do believe that in this sort of industry, none of us have competition because we all appeal to very different types of people. And whether that be for good or worse, it doesn't matter because it's our true self. And so I think you'll have definitely a lot of success. Like it's just a given, really. And all you have to do is be yourself.
Yeah, and but you are coming from a mindset of abundance, and that's really cool. Just thinking about like there's room for everyone, and everyone has their own truth, and you just need to put it out there. And then each one of us, we're not competing with each other, but we're just kind of building each other up. I think that's like a good way, and I guess a little bit why I started this podcast so that I can have these type of conversations with people. And yeah, and it's one thing that I really like about your videos. Also, when you are talking in the videos, I feel like you are yourself. So you're having fun with the video. You are very confident, and we're talking a little bit off camera about this. So, how did you get to that point that you're like in the camera and like, okay, guys, let's go. I can talk about this thing that I want to transmit. How was that process? Because I'm sure it was very good, very pleasant.
Yeah. So what I was saying before was, so for about 3 or 4 months, I was just like in a room, just trying to get it. I guess kept putting myself in front of a camera, and all of a sudden, a bit of ego kicks in. All of a sudden, the rational mind just takes over. And I was like, bloody hell, I just want to shoot a video. And so it just took a lot of times doing it again and again and again. And there was multiple times I'd waste the battery or I'd fill a whole memory card, and I haven't actually filmed the video yet. And I'm really, it's expensive to keep buying batteries and memory cards, so you can only be so abundant. I was trying, and I'm actually really blessed. I'm really grateful that happened because what it teach me to do was develop a good sense of presence. So what I would do is every night before I wanted to film a video, or even a few days before, I do two things. When you have that experience where an idea just comes to you and you're like, oh, that'd be good for a video.
Yeah.
So if that happened, I was like, okay, I need to action this as soon as possible because it's fresh in my mind. And that means I've got all sorts of thoughts that are associated with that will probably just flow out as I go. Versus if I try and script something, nothing's going to happen because that's what I was trying to do. And the second was, if that was happening, I'd always spend at least 15 minutes visualizing it in as much of a first-person perspective as I could. Imagine I was doing it. It was all perfect from start to end. And I pretty much just followed that process again and again and again. And I found it really worked well. So even with those live videos you're talking about where I did like a public speech, I didn't plan them. I was like, an idea comes in my head. Hey, Michael, you should imagine you did this. Like, imagine what would it be like? And I was like, quick, do it before my mind kicks in. So I've been trying to build that as a habit, and I found it really works well because I can't script anything. It doesn't work. And the beauty is those same principles work exactly the same when I'm in a session with someone. So there's some coaching sessions for me that might last 20 minutes. There's some which have lasted literally 5 hours. And you need it. The faster you can get in a state of presence, the faster you're in their head versus your own. And then you can start seeing what emotions are they going through, what mental patterns are they going through. And luckily that process was shortcutted for me because I built it with videos. I know that sounds really odd, but the two are very much one in the same. So
just abstracting from your own problems and just projecting yourself into someone else's shoes. And,
very much so.
And what are I don't know how many people like you helped already, but what are usually the common problems with? Is it more like personal, like inner conversation? I'm curious.
Yeah. So it's about 90% personal. So what tends to happen, well, pretty much always happens, is no one knows that they need to clear their subconscious mind or get their subconscious mind working for them or manage their emotions better. No business owner, or pretty even the average person, would ever give that thought. So at first I was like, let me teach people how to do this. I know some really cool principles that could help them that aren't spoken about much. And everyone's like, what the hell are you talking about? So what I found is people come in with the problems of very common problems for business owners are like time, money, stress. And I'll go through this process where what's quite common is, for example, they're like, you know what, I'm just not making enough money. I'm like, okay, why do you think that is? And they'll be like, there's not enough opportunities. There's not enough. I've got the wrong people working for me, something like that. I'll be like, okay, let's dial in on one of those. Let's dial in on people. They'll be like, okay, because of this. I'll be like, so you've been hiring wrong. For example, you've been prolonging how perhaps you just shouldn't have hired someone in the first place. Let's take that basic example. Yeah. Why was that? Well, perhaps because you didn't pay attention to your primitive instincts, those ones that give you red flags, that inner discomfort, a bit of sweat, that uneasiness that could have told you that that employee has a misalignment in their values with your company. So you didn't pay attention to that. Okay, why didn't you pay attention to that? Because you've got a fear of what people will think if you step out of that. Okay, why have you got a fear of what people think? Or maybe that stems from a number of experiences you've had through your teenage years. Like I said, what I've had with bullying. Okay, what about that? Where did that stem from? Maybe your parents implanted certain beliefs. Okay, now we can get back to the beliefs. How do we change that? Eradicate that. Now, how do we build you back up? And so they've just gone from this state of money is my issue. And they're sitting there like in like 10, 20 minutes like, well, what the hell? So it's really, sorry, to get back to your question, I'm going a bit of a ramble, but their problems, what they think they are, aren't what they actually need a lot of the time. So people think they have a certain problem, but what they actually need is quite different.
Yeah. So they don't even know, they don't have the perspective. And I guess it's really good with coaching because you have someone that is removed from the situation and can actually look at the facts. And,
that's it. And no emotional attachment, you just straight truth. And think about it as well. There are very few people in your life who will just give you the hard truth. They don't care. They'll say the truth to you, and it's because it hurts. And it's like, whoa. So people value it a lot.
Yeah, it's the type of people that are doing that to me. I even consider as like a mentor, because
Yeah.
because they are the ones that confront you with your own limitations, and I think is when you grow is when you like you're slapped in the face with reality, and then after some time you just need to adjust to the reality. I mean, like I started a new job like 2 years ago. I've been doing it, and sometimes it got really intense. I mean, I was even at some point just almost crying because like, man, this is like mega intense, and but it just got to that point because I was really pushed to my limits, and then like if I look back at that situation, I like, man, what the fuck? I mean, I could have done. I improved. I mean, it's like now I can do much better job without much feeling much pressure about it and less stress.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of people, even students. I think they feel a lot of that, especially in college. And I don't know if you also work with students, but I think when or young people like us, like they start a job and they sometimes feel that they are not performing very well. And I think there's a lot of anxiety around that. I don't know what's your opinion on that, or
Absolutely. So originally I really wanted to help uni students and high school students, but it's very hard to build a business around two factors. And one is uni students don't give a shit about improvement. Most of them, they're just like, give me a job. I want to party, all of that. I don't care. I want to save up for my next holiday, whatever. And two is they haven't been earning a proper income for a while. And so what I do is I offer most people in that similar position who actually come to me and say, I really want to change. Okay, no worries. I'll give you a certain amount of time, and we meet up for however long, and I'll just go through the same process with them. And what I found is, as you said, I feel like a lot of that anxiety comes from you're in this nice little cushioned environment in university. It's extremely comfortable. I mean, you're not pushed really. Yeah. You leave an assignment to the last minute. If you fail, it's not going to end your life. You don't have to support a family, anything like that. Yeah. And so your emotional body is never forced to develop any resilience. It's never forced to adapt. And so all of a sudden you come and you hit the workforce and people are telling you you're doing a bad job. People are telling you, up your game, this, that, and you're not used to it. And you're like, whoa. And then you get the excessive thoughts and emotions. And it's just because you haven't actually learned how to use them properly. You haven't built that. So I don't know if you found similar.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 1,000%. It's like I studied mechanical engineering, and there's one thing that you do is like you make a lot of calculations and a lot of design, but usually you don't actually do it. You just do it on the computer or in paper. So when you actually go to work and the thing that you are designing needs to work, it's a very analogous to self-improvement. It's like now you have to really perform well, and if this breaks, people can die, and or something else, like other consequences, and it's a really different kind of pressure instead of just handing a paper to a professor.
Yeah, so different. And then just going and drinking with your buddies, like, it was no big deal. It's totally
I delivered that. It's done. Let's go drink. Yeah. I don't know if you studied business.
Yeah, business.
What's the reality there? I mean, I have no idea. Like, is it also a lot of politics and a lot of like fluff, or is it also?
Exactly that. I think it's universal. Hey, it's so much fluff, and everyone's talking about, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be the next Steve Jobs, whatever. I've got the next idea. No one's doing anything once again. And I really believe that's because there's no reason to do anything. You're just so comfortable. Why would you constantly push yourself out of your comfort zone? It just doesn't, from a primitive sense, it doesn't make sense. So it's very similar here in Australia.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you did that transition from working in like a corporate environment to starting your own business, do you think it helped you to go through that corporate experience where you are pressured and you need to perform? If you like done like college and start your business, do you think would be?
I wouldn't be doing well. Yeah, it taught me a lot of corporate ethics, a lot of ways of doing things in terms of, you know, even just basics like communicating with people via email. So basic, or just how politics work with some people. And also that you really need to navigate through, as much as we push for, we both do, you know, overcoming your ego and becoming your true self. You have to navigate through a lot of egos, and you can't just come out and say whatever the hell you want, because people, very few people can take that. And so I came from this environment that was literally, I know it sounds extreme, but pretty much held together by ego, because you're on a bad salary. You're working 80 to 100 hours a week. I was traveling all over the place, packing my bags all the time. And why would you stay really, other than ego in a lot of ways, or in that case anyways? That was for my specific industry. And when that's the case, you learn to, okay, how do I navigate my way around someone, still help them, but in a more subtle way. And so I think it was really useful. And as of course, the second part of that is the leverage side of things. So the leverage in terms of, well, in my head, it was like, I've only got a short amount of time at home, and I'm sure you experience the same all the time. I got to work, boom, you're productive and you do it. And so I was very scared that I would lose that when I left. And so what I did was it's pretty crazy, but I couldn't have done it otherwise. So I had in Australian dollars, I had about 50, 60,000 saved up from all my past jobs. I just saved. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to invest it all over a period of about 4 months into mentors, into programs, into whatever I think I need. Yeah. And so my bank account went, and I just pretty much wanted to corner